real elephant in the room. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. The real elephant in the room and why Donald Trump is so obsessed with Barack Obama. You know why he's obsessed with Barack Obama? Is because he's jealous and he can never be Barack Obama. Why is he blaming him for everything? Well, it's because of his own shortcomings. The ghost of Obama haunts Donald Trump in the Oval Office every single day, and Obama lives rent-free in his brain. Sorry about that, Barack Obama.
Don Lemon doesn't roast Trump the way most comedians or commentators do. He doesn't play around with impressions, he doesn't soften the blow with parody, and he doesn't waste time with polite framing. Instead, Lemon cuts straight to the heart of Trump's mythology and rips it apart, piece by piece, until the carefully inflated balloon of his image shrivels into the joke it always was. Where others poke fun at Trump's buffoonery, Lemon goes deeper, exposing the rot underneath, the insecurity, the grift, and the chaos disguised as leadership.
Now, why is no one talking about this man's cognitive abilities or decline? This is him announcing that he is hosting the Kennedy Center Awards.
I've been asked to host. I said, I'm the president of the United States. Are you fools asking me to do that? Sir, you'll get much higher ratings. I said, I don't care. I'm president of the United States. I won't do it.
Nobody told him that.
And then Susie Wells said to me, sir, I'd like you to host. I said, okay, Susie, I'll do it.
Trump has always treated his career as if it were a reality show. Every project, every headline, every campaign rally was staged with all the subtlety of a late-night infomercial. And just like those infomercials, the product never lived up to the hype. Don Lemon starts there. Trump the salesman, not Trump the leader. He was never a visionary, never a reformer, never the political savior he claimed to be. He was simply a pitchman, shoving his brand in front of cameras, selling empty promises the way he once sold mail-order steaks.
Did you hear what Donald Trump just said?
We're going to stop mail-in ballots because it's corrupt. You know, when you go to a voting booth and you do it the right way and you go to a state that runs it properly.
By the way, Donald Trump voted by mail.
Lemon draws the line connecting Trump's business ventures to his politics. Trump University, a scam so laughably transparent it became a courtroom embarrassment, wasn't an isolated incident. It was the prototype. Trump has always been in the business of selling illusions. The gold-plated buildings, the self-branded merchandise, the staged photo ops, all of it was part of the illusion that he was larger than life. But illusions don't last forever, and Lemon relishes the irony of watching Trump's carefully manufactured image collapse under the weight of his own ego.
That's the power she's got. But I just, so I have agreed to host. Do you believe what I have to do? And I didn't want to do it, okay? They're going to say he insisted. I did not insist. But I think it will be quite successful, actually.
And then I don't know how he got from that to contractors. Watch.
We have great contractors here, great road builders, everything. And we're not ripping roads apart so they're closed for 4 years as they redo the concrete bases. You don't need that. We need a beautiful topping by a very talented asphalt type person, somebody that does the job. We go out, you know, when I get contractors, I use great contractors. To me, great contractors are very special, like a great surgeon, like a great teacher, like a great nurse. A great contractor is very important. We'll only use the best. And when you put a coat of asphalt on that 2 inches of asphalt, 3 inches of asphalt, it looks brand new. A beautiful, magnificent road.
Now, this is there was no...
When Trump became president, the illusion reached its breaking point. Don Lemon dismantles the idea that Trump ever rose to the occasion. Instead, he exposed just how unprepared he was for the role. The Oval Office didn't transform him, it magnified him. The pettiness, the insecurities, the obsession with applause, they all became glaring weaknesses on the world stage. Lemon paints the picture of a man who wanted the title but not the responsibility, who wanted the pomp but not the substance. He wasn't governing, he was hosting, and the world was forced to watch as he turned the presidency into his own low-budget television series.
No, I think they should lean in. I think they should do exactly what, I think, give them a dose of their own medicine. They should do exactly what Republicans would do. Because imagine if this was a Democratic president or a Democratic administration and it was just the reverse. Imagine what Fox News would be doing. Imagine what all of the right-wing, streaming world would be doing. Imagine what all the lawmakers would be doing.
Lemon zeroes in on Trump's obsession with attention, the way every day in office was treated as a campaign rally. He didn't care about policy so much as performance. He measured success not in results, but in ratings, crowd size, and headlines. Don Lemon shreds the ridiculousness of a president who spent more time tracking cable news coverage than reading briefings. He wasn't commander-in-chief. He was commentator-in-chief, glued to a television, desperate for validation.
And so Donald Trump thinks that he's, helping or he's changing or whatever he thinks that he's doing with artists, when he's actually helping them in a sense to become better artists. This is art in itself, what Donald Trump is doing. It is performance art, bad performance art, that he's going to get roasted by artists, whether it's rappers, whether it's painters, whether it's photographers or whatever it is. Artists are going to get us out of this terrible time that we're in. I believe it's going to be artists, because it's definitely not journalism right now for the most part. Because, as you know, you mentioned in the run-up to when you were introducing me, a lot of folks are bending the knee. Artists don't do that. They do what Amy Sherrill did, and they say, you're not changing my art. It's for consumption of people, it's not about perfection of what you want.
Well, you make an interesting point that by being so invasive and Trump using big federal government power to go into these places, it puts more people in that decision of, hey, the old book, you can't be neutral on a moving train.
The hypocrisy doesn't escape Lemon either. Trump claimed to be a man of the people, yet he lived in a gold-plated penthouse, spent weekends golfing at private resorts, and governed like a monarch who confused public service with personal branding. He promised to drain the swamp, yet filled his administration with sycophants, grifters, and family members. Don Lemon exposes that hypocrisy with precision, showing how Trump's entire presidency was less about serving America and more about serving Trump. Then comes the chaos. Don Lemon doesn't just list scandals, he weaves them together into a pattern of dysfunction. The revolving door of advisors, the endless feuds, the constant stream of lies. It was government by tantrum, and Trump reveled in it. Lemon points out how every crisis under Trump became worse because of his need to center himself. The pandemic wasn't just a public health emergency, it was a stage for Trump to contradict scientists, brag about ratings, and pick fights with governors. He couldn't help himself. Every problem was an opportunity to make himself the headline, even when lives were on the line.
It's not even that. Barack Obama is not even anywhere mentioned in the Epstein files, and they have responded to a conspiracy theory with another conspiracy theory that somehow Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton treated some sort of treason or something, conspiring to keep Donald Trump from running his presidency, which is exactly what a bipartisan investigative commission found the exact opposite of. And so they're responding to a conspiracy with a bigger conspiracy, neither of which is paying off for them. So I think that Donald Trump is painting himself into a corner.
Don Lemon also demolishes Trump's victim complex. No president in modern history complained more about how unfairly he was treated. Despite his wealth, his fame, and his power, Trump positioned himself as a perpetual victim, blaming the media, the deep state, his rivals, and even his own allies whenever things went wrong. Lemon highlights the absurdity of the most powerful man in the world whining like a toddler denied dessert. Instead of taking responsibility, Trump mastered the art of deflection. And while that may have worked in the world of tabloid gossip, it crumbled under the weight of actual governance. What makes Lemon's takedown so devastating is his refusal to let Trump hide behind the clownish facade. It's easy to laugh at the misspellings on Twitter, the orange spray tan, the bizarre hand gestures, but Don Lemon makes the point that behind the buffoonery was real damage. Families divided, allies alienated, institutions weakened, and truth itself undermined. Trump wasn't just funny, he was dangerous, and by highlighting both, Lemon ensures the roast doesn't trivialize the harm done. Lemon also dismantles the idea of Trump as a strong leader. Strong leaders don't beg for loyalty, they earn it. Strong leaders don't throw tantrums when criticized, they adapt. Strong leaders don't measure their worth by applause, but by results. Trump failed every test of strength.
I recently posted an article for the Daily Beast. There it is. Look at it up on your screen. I say the president who wants to be his predecessor, but never could. They wrote the jealous much part, but then they say Donald Trump's obsession with Barack Obama isn't about politics. It's about race. It's about resentment and the lie that white mediocrity deserves power. This is a piece that I think everybody should read, because this is way beyond him just trying to scapegoat or blame or distract from the nightmare that has become the whole engulfing fire of Jeffrey Epstein.
He bragged endlessly about his toughness, but the moment things went south, he pointed fingers. Don Lemon exposes that weakness as the defining trait of Trump's presidency. The loudest man in the room, but also the weakest. Trump's obsession with legacy is another easy target. He wants statues, monuments, books praising his genius. But Don Lemon reminds everyone that Trump's legacy isn't one of greatness, it's one of chaos. He will be remembered for government shutdowns, impeachments, criminal investigations, and a nation more divided than it's been in decades. His greatest achievement wasn't policy, it was branding himself as a spectacle. Lemon makes it clear, Trump didn't build America up, he turned it into a stage for his endless performance. And then there's the insecurity that underpins it all. Don Lemon doesn't let Trump's bluster fool anyone. Behind the bragging, behind the endless boasts of being the best, the smartest, the greatest, is a man terrified of being exposed. Trump spent years inflating his wealth, his intelligence, his popularity because the truth was never enough. Lemon's roast tears off that mask, revealing the small, fragile ego that needed constant feeding. For all the talk of winning, Trump was defined by loss. Business failures, political defeats, and a reputation forever tarnished.
Gather around. Breaking Trump news. And a K-File exclusive. Looky. New pictures of Jeffrey Epstein uncovered at Donald Trump's wedding. Also, pictures of them together at an event earlier that year. And there is video of them in 1999 at a Victoria's Secret fashion show. You gotta see this.
What makes Lemon's destruction of Trump resonate so deeply is the clarity of it. He doesn't need gimmicks or over-the-top parody. He just lays out the facts, connects the dots, and strips away the excuses. Trump doesn't emerge as the deal-maker or the disruptor he pretends to be. He emerges as a man who stumbled into power, squandered it, and left behind nothing but division and dysfunction. And yet, the final irony is that Trump can't escape Don Lemon's roast because Trump craves the spotlight too much to walk away. He will keep re-emerging, keep ranting, keep demanding attention. Trump wanted to be remembered as one of the greats. Don Lemon ensures he's remembered instead as one of the most laughable, most insecure, and most destructive figures ever to hold power. It's not just a roast, it's a permanent record. The myth of Trump, once sold as strength and genius, lies in pieces, and the world is left laughing at the rubble.
I want you to check this out. This was 5 years ago during COVID, and Donald Trump was so obsessed with Barack Obama because people were saying that he was not being professional in the way he was handling, and Obama had left a plan for emergency if there was a pandemic, and Donald Trump tore it up and didn't know what he was doing. And then George Bush spoke eloquently about Barack Obama, and that's just infuriated Trump. And so when I was on the CNN, again, this is 5 years ago, this is what I said. Wow.
The truth is, Trump is a man obsessed with performance, but never with substance. Don Lemon takes that flimsy facade and rips it apart piece by piece, showing that every big moment Trump tries to create ends up being little more than a staged set that collapses the second you tug on the curtains. Trump's version of power is all projection. Gold-painted walls, oversized signatures, and bombastic speeches, but underneath it all is a desperate scramble for validation that never arrives. Lemon frames it in the simplest terms. This isn't leadership, it's insecurity dressed up as dominance. Even the rallies, which Trump once paraded as proof of his unmatched magnetism, look less like historic movements and more like late-night reruns of a show that overstayed its welcome. The same lines, the same grievances, the same tired attacks, all repeated until even the diehards look exhausted. Don Lemon highlights how Trump, the so-called master of momentum, has boxed himself into a corner where he can only rehash the past. It's like a rock band that refuses to write new songs and just keeps playing the same one-hit wonder. Nostalgia might keep the lights on, but it's not growth. And Lemon twists the knife by reminding people real leaders build forward, not backward.
What's Donald Trump gonna say? Wasn't me. Wasn't there. I barely knew the man. Didn't really know him. Jeffrey who? Jeffrey Epstein? My wedding? What are you talking about? Victoria? What is Victoria's Secret? I have no idea what you're talking about. That's his MO. Huh. Nuts.
Lemon's dismantling doesn't stop at Trump's political persona. It cuts into the culture he's tried to manufacture. The image of Trump as a disruptor, an outsider storming the castle, crumbles under the weight of reality. He's not an outsider anymore. He is the establishment he once claimed to fight. The lawsuits, the endless investigations, the revolving door of loyalists and defectors. It's the exact swamp Trump swore he would drain. Only now, he's the creature floating in it. Lemon shows how the once defiant rebel has become the very symbol of the thing he promised to destroy. And there's no script or slogan that can reverse that irony. And then comes the ego, the endless parade of self-congratulation that Lemon exposes for what it is, a hollow man trying to convince the world he's still larger than life. The constant need for superlatives, biggest, greatest, smartest, only proves the opposite. If you really are the best, you don't have to say it 1,000 times. People see it. But Trump's obsession with convincing everyone is itself proof that he knows he's slipping. Lemon peels back that layer and leaves him standing there not as the untouchable mogul, but as a man so fragile that the slightest criticism sends him spiraling.
When I was on the CNN, again, this is 5 years ago, this is what I said, watch.
What is it about President Obama that really gets under your skin? Is it because he's smarter than you? Better educated? Made it on his own? Didn't need daddy's help? His wife is more accomplished? Better looking? I don't know. What is it? What is it about him? That he's a black man that's accomplished, became president? That he punked you on the whole birth certificate thing? What is it about him?
Don Lemon then hits on the most devastating point of all, legacy. Trump has spent years trying to carve his name into history, but the record doesn't lie. Instead of being remembered as a transformative leader, he risks being remembered as the cautionary tale, the figure who shouted the loudest but delivered the least. History doesn't honor noise, it honors results. And when the dust settles, Trump's legacy looks more like a cluttered stage after the circus has left town. Discarded signs, empty promises, and echoes of applause that no longer matter. What makes this takedown sting so sharply is that Lemon doesn't just call Trump out, he exposes the hollowness of the myth Trump built. The skyscrapers, the branding, the red hats, the nonstop media spectacle. It was always an act, and acts don't last forever. Trump believed he could bend reality with sheer force of personality, but as Don Lemon shows, reality has a way of catching up. When the performance ends and the lights go down, all that's left is a man scrambling to remind the world he was once the star. And that's the true destruction, not in the loud mocking, but in the quiet clarity. Don Lemon doesn't just roast Trump for being outrageous, he reveals him as ordinary, a man who sold himself as a giant, only to end up small once the illusions were stripped away.